A computer system is an electronic machine that performs all the operations based on the given instruction. What is Fortran? So the name itself indicates that it is formula translation. You must know some of the basics about HTML, then you can very easily learn PHP. So what is PHP here? Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session. I am Revati, faculty, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Mysore. In today's session, I am going to deal with programming languages for first PUC Computer Science student. Let me to discuss what is programming language. Before going to start, what is programming language? Let me to explain what is language first. So, we all are familiar with the word language. So, what is language then? So, here language is nothing but the communication media used between two person. That means if two persons want to communicate each other, they must have some media. So that media itself called language. When it comes to programming language, the computer system want to communicate each other. That time we required programming language. So what is programming language? Here the programming language is nothing but the set of instructions that is given to the computer system to perform some specific task. I repeat, here the programming language is nothing but the set of instruction. So what is set of instruction now? Consider the very familiar example that I want to give certain set of instruction to car. So, what is the first instruction that I'm going to give to the car is, first instruction here is open the door. Once the door is opened, what is the next instruction I'm going to provide? That is get inside the car. So that is my second instruction. Then what is the third instruction? That is check the fuel. So that is my third instruction. Then what is the fourth instruction? That is turn on the key. That is my fourth instruction. Then what is my fifth instruction? That is change the gear. The fourth instruction here is change the gear. So after changing gear, what's going to happen? That is press the accelerator as well as clutch. So these are the certain steps we want to follow. So what are the steps I'm going to have? That is itself called instruction. So in computer terminology, the set of instruction is nothing but the set of steps or procedures followed to the computer system to perform some specific task. So the best and familiar example for computer terminology here is, I want to prepare a calculator. So what are the steps I required? Now I have certain steps. Now I want to convert that certain steps into some specific instruction that is carried out by using programming language. So here programming language is nothing but the instruction given to the computer system to perform some specific task. Now consider the example here that I want to create a calculator with some basic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So the best example for instruction here is, I want to create a small basic calculator. So I'm going to provide the options like addition, multiplication, subtraction and division. Now I'm going to write the step of instruction to create my basic calculator. So what are the options I'm going to provide? That is, I want to find the sum of numbers, then I want to find the difference of the given number, then I want to find the product of given number, and I want to find the quotient of a given number. So I'm going to provide the four options along with the data types. So here, to defining the data type, performing the operations, storing the result, these are the some of the sequence of steps, or it is a set of instruction. So whatever the set of instruction I'm going to have, that is itself called programming language. So in computer system, a computer system is an electronic machine that performs all the operations based on the given instruction. So here, who is responsible for providing the instruction? That is nothing but the human being. Now the human beings are going to write the code. So whatever the code the human being is going to write, that is itself called programming language. So the programming language plays very important role in computer system. So this is the simple example for programming language. So whatever the thing we are going to see, this is nothing but the set of instruction, and this is the one of the example for HTML programming language. Along with that, here we are going to have HTML, JavaScript, as well as Cascade style sheet. So these are the some of the examples for HTML programming language, and this is the one kind of programming language which comes under computer system. Moving further, we are going to have the evaluation of programming language. That means how the evaluation of the programming language started. So in the year 1950, we are going to have Fortran as well as COBOL programming language. So these are the two high-level programming language. So what is Fortran? So the name itself indicates that it is formula translation. Now tell me, what is COBOL here? COBOL is nothing but the common object programming language, and it is developed for a business application. Then we are going to have Lisp. So what is Lisp? That is list processing. Then we are going to have Visual Studio. Then we are going to have SQL, then we are going to have HTML, then we are going to have dynamic HTML. So these are the some of the examples for programming language. So at the beginning, we are going to add assembly level programming language. Then we are going to add high level programming language, and nowadays we are going to have the high level language, that is Python. That means the nowadays trend here is Python programming language. So let's start with the evaluation of programming language. So at the beginning, we are going to add COBOL, that is Common Object Business Language. Then we had C programming language. That means C is nothing but the structured oriented programming language, and this is the one of the high level programming language, and this is also the example for middle level programming language. Then we are going to have C++ programming language. So here the C++ programming language is also a high level programming language, and it is mainly based on the object-oriented programming language. That means in C++ programming language, all the things are considered as classes as well as objects. So the C++ programming language, so it mainly remains on the concept called object. So most of the business organization and IT sectors, they are going to use C++ programming language to develop their product. So one of the best use of C++ programming language is reusability. That means whenever you want to use the same code again and again, that time we can able to have C++ programming language. Then we are going to have Java. So this is also a example for high level programming language, and it's also the example for object oriented programming language, and this is machine independent. That means whatever the program you have written by using Java program, you can run that Java program in any operating system. So it is platform independent. Then we are going to have Python. The nowadays trend here is Python program. So most of the IT sectors, they are going to use Python programming language to develop their products. So the Python is a complex programming language, and this is the example for high level programming language, and this is also a object oriented programming language, and it provides flexibility as well as versatile. Now we are going to have Python. So most of the business organization or IT sectors, they are going to use Python. So why it is Python? Because so it is object oriented programming language as well as it is complex programming language, and it is interpreted. That means it is going to execute one line at a time. So it is versatile as well as more flexible programming language when compared to other programming language. So because of this nature, the Python plays very important role in application development. Then we are going to have Go. So this is also a open source programming language. Nowadays the trend here is Go, and this programming language was invented by the Google, and it is mainly used to develop Google applications as well as mobile applications. Then we are going to have Dart. So this is also one of the programming language which is most frequently used in nowadays. It is also the product of Google, and it provides the web application. So here the Dart is also a programming language, and it is mainly used for web development as well as mobile application development, and it is a product of Google. The another and most commonly used by the programming language here is Swift. So it is the product of Apple, and it is mainly designed for iOS and OS apps, and this is the product of Apple, and it is mainly used for mobile applications. So these are the some of the evaluation of programming language. Initially we had COBOL and Fortran, then we are going to add C, C++, Java, then nowadays the trend here is Python, Go, Draft and Swift. Then we had JS. What is JS? That is JavaScript, that is mainly used to develop dynamic website as well as server-side scripting. And we are going to have PHP, that is hypertext processor, that is mainly used to develop web-based application. Then we are going to have Perl. So here Perl is a web programming language. It is mainly used to develop and design server-side scripting as well as dynamic scripting. So these are the some of the programming language, and these languages are most commonly used by the computer application. Moving further, we are going to have the family tree of programming language. That means how the family trees of the programming languages are generated. So these are the some of the examples for programming language and how they are interlinked. First, we are going to have Fortran. From Fortran, we are going to have basics, Alago. Then from Fortran, we are going to have PL. Then COBOL, once again we are going to have PL. So here PL is nothing but the programming language. So these are the examples for high level programming language. That means initially we had Fortran, then we had COBOL, then we had Lisp. From these programming language, we are going to derive some other programming languages like Basic, PL or ML, etc. And from Algol, we are going to have C. From C, I'm going to have C++ programming language. From C++, I'm going to have C# and Java. That means the base for C++ programming is C. From C, I'm going to have C++ programming language. That means here C is structured programming language, whereas C++ is object-oriented programming language. From object-oriented programming language, I'm going to derive C# and Java. So these two are the object-oriented programming, and this is example for high-level programming language. Then here we are going to have Perl. That means the Perl is also derived from the C program. And from Perl and Modular 3 and Java, we are going to have Python. So this is the complex programming language, and this is also the example for object-oriented programming language. Then I'm going to have Smalltalk, Prolog, Ruby. These are the some of the example for programming language, and these languages are derived from the Lisp, that is list processing. So this complete diagram gives the hierarchy or tree structure of programming language. That means which programming language is the origin of programming language, and which are the other programming languages are derived from the origin of programming language. So Fortran, COBOL and Lisp are the origin of programming language. From these, we are going to have other programming languages like C, C++, C#, Python, Ruby, Prolog, Pascal, etc. So this complete diagram gives the family tree of programming language. Then we are going to have the classification of programming language. That means here the programming languages are classified into three different levels, that is low level programming language, middle level programming language and high level programming language. So what is low level programming language? In computer system, the computer is capable to understand only zeros and ones. So whatever the data or instruction we are going to feed to the computer system, that must be converted into the zeros and ones. So that is itself called low level programming language. So the machine can able to understand only zeros and ones. So Here the low level language is further classified into two types, that is machine level language and assembly level language. So the computer system is capable to understand only zeros and ones. So whatever the programming language we are going to have, that must be converted into machine language. Then we are going to have assembly level language. So in assembly level language we are going to have some predefined symbols, so that is itself called mnemonics. So the best example for assembly level language is add ax to 10 or move edx to 10, etc. So here we are going to have these symbols, and whatever the program we are going to write by using assembly level language, that must be converted into machine level language. So whatever the conversion is carried out, we required one special device or translator called assembler. Then we are going to have middle level language. That means the middle level language stays between low level language as well as high level language. And the best example for middle level language here is C programming language. Then we are going to have high level programming language. So in high level programming language we are going to have English like statement. So whatever the high level programming language we have, that must be converted into object code. So here we require the translator called compiler. So the job of the compiler is to convert high level programming language into machine understandable code, that is nothing but the object code. And some of the example for high level programming language here is Fortran, Pascal, C or C hash, Prolog, Java, etc. These are some of the example for high level programming language. So to understand the programming language, we must know the type of programming language, that is low level programming language, middle level programming language and high level programming language. To understand what is low level programming language, how it is divided, we must have some of the basic idea about computer programming language. So here the low level programming language is further classified into two types, that is machine level language as well as assembly level language. And the example for mid-level programming language here is C program, and for high level it is COBOL, Pascal, Fortran, then Java, C hash, Prolog. These are the example for high level programming language. Moving further, what are the easy programming language we can very easily study? So dear student, to write any programming language, it is very important to know that study any one of the programming language thoroughly. For example, consider that suppose if I am good at in C programming, then I can able to learn or I can able to code any other programming language, because whatever the syntax, whatever the rules, whatever the semantics comes under the C program, that carried by the all the other programming language. So these are some of the very easy programming language to study. In that first one, C program. So this is the best example for high level programming language and structured programming language. And to learn and write the C program, it is very simple. And you must know the syntax and semantics of the C programming language. Then we are going to have C++, programming language. That means it is the basis of C program. That means it is derived from the C program, where this C++ program is object-oriented programming, and this is the example for high-level programming, but the syntax and semantics are same as the C program. Then we are going to have Java program. So Java is also the example for high-level programming language, and this is object-oriented programming, and which is derived from the C++ programming language. So if you're thorough in C, then you can very easily learn C++. And if you are thorough in C++, then it is very easy to write Java programs. And here we are going to have PHP. That means if you are good at in HTML, then you can very easily learn PHP as well as Perl, JavaScript, etc. That means suppose if you want to create any static website, that time you required HTML. From HTML you can able to create, or from HTML you can able to learn PHP, Perl and JavaScript. So first you must know some of the basics about HTML, then you can very easily learn PHP. So what is PHP here? That is hypertext processor, that is mainly used to create and develop dynamic websites, as well as it is mainly used to create server-side scripting. Then we are going to have Python. So this is the complex programming language, and nowadays the trend here is Python. That means most of the companies, they are going to hire their employees based on the Python programming language. Then we are going to have C hash. So this is also the example for high level programming language, and this is mainly based on the object oriented programming language. And in C hash we are going to have components. That means here what we want to do here is, I want to pick the component, I want to drag the component, I want to drop the component, and I want to write the code related to that component. Then I'm going to have HTML, that is mainly for web design and web development. Then I'm going to have JavaScript. So I'm going to club this JavaScript with HTML in order to create dynamic website as well as server-side scripting. So these are the very few programming language, and it is very easy to learn. Moving further, we are going to have the outcome of learning programming language. That means suppose if I familiar with any one of the programming language, then I can able to become a web development and framework. That means to develop website, I required what are the basic language? I required HTML. I must know what is Perl, how to write the Perl code. Then I must know how to write the PHP code, how to write the JavaScript, how to write the Ajax, how to write the and how to create the dynamic HTML. If I know these basic things, then I can able to become a web development and framework engineer. If I know these many language, then I can able to become web developer. Then to become a game developer, I must know any one of the basic programming language like C, C++, Python, Java, C hash, etc. And suppose if I want to get into the field called big data, then I must have the idea and knowledge of any one of the programming like Python, Java, C++, etc. And if I want to become a web testing, then I must have the knowledge about dynamic HTML, Perl or PHP, etc. Suppose if I want to become a artificial intelligence or data scientist, then I must have the basic idea about the any one of the programming language. And if I want to become a smart device developer, then also I require the knowledge about the programming language. So to study any programming language or to perfect in any programming language, you want to select any one of the programming language, be thorough with that programming language, understand the programming language, what are the rules, what are the semantics comes under that programming language. So if you know any one of the programming language thoroughly, then you can able to study and learn any programming language. So here the programming language plays very important role in computer system, because computer is a electronic machine that is capable to understand only the instruction. So whatever the instruction we are going to provide to the computer system, that must be written using any one of the programming language. So if you opted computer science, and in computer science we are going to study all these programs in depth, so you can able to select any one of the career job opportunities from all the possible job opportunity. So succeed in this field, you must have the basic idea and knowledge about the programming language. In my next session, I'm going to meet with some other interesting topic which is related to computer science. Thank you for watching my session. Let's meet in the next session. Until then, take care. Thank you.